Alright guys, welcome. It's Thursday morning and this is kind of take two for me because I went through the whole video. It was like 10 minutes long and I realized I made a mistake. So, I am like you, sometimes make mistakes when I do my math. So this time I'm going to do it right, hopefully. And I want to talk about some of the things as I went over your math papers yesterday or last night, the ones you did yesterday and handed in. There were a few errors that I wanted to show you on how we can further divide a large number, especially a large number, because they're a little bit harder. So one of the questions was this, 0.875, which we know is 875 thousandths. Okay, so I'm going to rewrite that as 875 thousandths. When we see that, we think 3 places after the decimal, 3 zeros. Okay, so this 0.875 is 875 thousandths, and I want to simplify that or reduce it, bring it down to the lowest terms. So one of the clues that I didn't share with you yesterday, that I'm going to share with you today, is when a number ends in 5 and 0, it means you can always divide by 5. Now, sometimes, for example, this number we know can be divided by 25, and there's a good chance this one can be too. But we're going to start with 5 because it's easier. So I'm going to divide this by 5, and I'm going to divide this by 5. Whenever it ends in 5 and 0, you know you can divide by 5. Now, you probably don't know what this is, and this is actually where I made a mistake on the first video. So I can just do it up here. So 5 goes into 875, it goes once, that's where I made a mistake, 7, 35, 25, 5. So the answer to 875 divided by 5 is 175. I'm going to erase this. You can keep it on your sheet if you want to when you're doing it. So that's 175. When I divide that by 5, I know it's 200. If I didn't, I could do that here as well. 5 goes into 10, 5 goes into 5 to 2 is 10, bring down a 0, goes in 0 times, bring down the next 0, and I get 200. So I have 175 and 200, but notice it ends with 5 and 0 again. So that means I can divide by 5 again. So when I divide this one by 5, that's 40. Now I want to divide this one by 5, so I'm going to go ahead and do that out because I don't know that in my head. And I'm going to get 35. And this is why it's good to know long division, because you kind of have to do some of that when you're reducing these. So the answer to that is 35. And then guess what? I still have a 5 and a 0. So I can divide, now these ones you know in your head, they're just math facts. I divide that by 5 and I get 7. I divide that by 5 and get 8. And that is the lowest terms, simplest terms. Now, let's pretend I saw this and recognized, 5 does work, but I bet I can divide 25 by 25 because I know that when it ends in 5 and 0, sometimes it's divisible by 25. So I know 25, so I'm going to do 25. So 25, let's say, you can't see that, 25 goes into 1,000, 25 goes into 100 4 times, so it goes into 1,000 40 times. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and put the 40 here, and I'm going to divide that 25, let's see where you can see it. Goes in 50, 37, oh, what am I doing? I'm doing it wrong again. Goes in 3 times, 75, 125, so 35. So I got 35 just like I do here, and then I know I can divide by 5 again and get 7/8. So just dividing by 25 eliminated one step. But you can just go ahead and divide by 5 if you want, then divide by 5 again, and then divide by 5 again. It's just a couple extra steps. So basically I just want you to know when it ends in a 5 and a 0, you can divide by 5. Sometimes you can divide by 5 again and again. Alright, so the other one that we had trouble with is 0.008. So I want to give you a clue for that as well. So when we see 0.008, we think 8 out of 1,000, or 1, 2, 3 places after the decimal, 1, 2, 3. So this is called 8 thousandths. So the second trick that I'm going to tell you is that when it ends in an even number, when these numbers both add an even number or 0, an even number and 0, we can always divide by 2. Often we can divide by 4, but always 2. So I'm going to divide that by 2 and get 4. I'm going to divide that by 2 and get 500. Then I notice again, even number and 0, so I can divide by what? 2. You're right. So I'm going to divide that by 2 and get 2. Divide that by 2 and get 250. Then I notice again, it's an even number and a 0, so I can divide that by 2 and get 1. Divide that by 2 and have 125, and that is the simplest form. Okay, I could have again divided it by 4 and I would have gotten down to here. It's just one extra step. So let me erase this, and I want to just pull up real quick your page that you're going to be doing today. It's going to look like this. See if I can get a pen to write with. And we'll look at the sample up here first. So here they want you to write 0.12 as a fraction, 0.12. So we think of that as 12 hundredths, which they show here. They write 12 hundredths, and then they see the 2 and the 0. Now we could have divided by 2, but they know that sometimes the 2 and the 0 means even number, and a 0 sometimes means divided by 4. So they divided by 4 and got 3, divided by 4 and got 25. Okay, so now we're going to look at this one here. Alright, so we'll do these two samples together. So we see 0.65 and we think 65 hundredths. So we write 65 over 100, and now we want to simplify. So 65 hundredths, we're going to take the 65. We know 5 and 0. We just learned that you can always divide by 5. So I'm going to divide the 65 by 5, divide the 100 by 5, and I'm going to get 20. And you might not know 65 divided by 5. If you don't, you can just either on a separate paper or over here on the side, you can do the math, and your answer is 13. So it's okay if you need to do it over here. You can do it on a dry erase board and erase it, that's fine. Okay, you're still going to come out to the same answer. And this one is a little bit easier because it's in tenths, so we have 0.6. We think, oh, that's 6 tenths. And we're going to write it 6 tenths. And then here they want us to simplify it. 6 divided by, so I look and I see a 6 and a 0, and I know that it can always be 2. So I'm going to divide the 6 by 2 and get 3. And then I'm going to divide this 10 by 2 and get 5. And that's the simplest form. Okay? So you can go ahead on your sheet. You should have an attachment that pulls up this sheet. You can go ahead and do those out. I did them together. And then you're going to try these problems. So, I mean, there's a lot of problems here. If you just want to go to from 3 to 14, that should be enough to let me know that you know how to do them. If you want to do the whole page, you got some free time, you want to do it, go ahead. I mean, practice makes perfect, so feel free to go ahead and do the whole page. As long as you do to 14, I'm good with that. All right, so this video this time is a little shorter, so that's good. It's only 10 minutes. You can pause it, go back, take a look at it again, and I'll take a look at them, so send them to me. Have a great day, guys. See you later. Bye.